Captain Lisa Hayes sat in her command chair, watching the stars drift past the bridge windows of the Terra Nova. The exploration ship had been traveling through the Kepler sector for 3 weeks now, mapping new trade routes for the human colonies. It was quiet work, but Lisa enjoyed the peaceful nature of deep space exploration. The calm was broken by a sharp beep from the communications panel. Lieutenant Ben Clark turned from his station with a worried look on his face. "Captain, we're receiving a distress signal. It's coming from a Zephyrian research vessel about 6 hours away." Lisa frowned. The Zephyrians were a peaceful alien race known for their scientific work. They rarely sent distress calls unless something was seriously wrong. "Put it through, Ben." The main screen flickered to life, showing the pale blue face of a Zephyrian scientist. His large dark eyes were filled with fear, and his usually steady voice shook as he spoke. "This is Dr. Keth aboard the research ship Stellar Wind. We need immediate assistance. 3 of our team are dead and we barely escaped with our lives." Lisa leaned forward in her chair. "What happened, Dr. Keth? Are you under attack?" The Zephyrian's head movements showed his distress. "We encountered the Phantom ship. The legends are true, Captain Hayes. The ghost vessel that haunts these sectors is real, and it is far more dangerous than any of us believed." Dr. Kevin Stone, the Terra Nova's chief scientist, looked up from his research station. He had heard stories about the mysterious ship that various alien species claimed to have seen over the centuries. Most people thought it was just a legend, a scary story told by spacers to frighten new crew members. "Doctor, please calm down and tell us exactly what you saw," Lisa said in her most reassuring voice. Dr. Keth took several deep breaths before continuing. "We detected the vessel 3 days ago. It was massive, Captain. Nearly 3 kilometers long and made of some dark material we had never seen before. At first we thought it was just a derelict ship, abandoned and drifting through space." He paused, his hands shaking as he continued his report. "We followed standard salvage protocols. The ship appeared to be dead, showing no energy readings or life signs. We sent a boarding party of 6 researchers to investigate. The moment they entered the ship's docking bay, everything changed." Lisa could see the terror in the alien's eyes as he relived the experience. The ship came alive. Defense systems activated with incredible speed and precision. Automated weapons tracked our people with perfect accuracy. 3 of our team were killed instantly, their bodies ejected into space through the same airlock they had entered. Kevin stood up from his station and moved closer to the main screen. "Dr. Keth, did the ship communicate with you in any way? Did it give any warnings or demands?" The Zephyrian scientist shook his head. "Nothing. No warnings, no communication attempts. The ship simply eliminated the boarders and then went quiet again. The survivors barely made it back to our shuttle before the docking bay sealed itself. When we tried to scan the ship again, it powered up some kind of jump drive and disappeared." Lisa exchanged glances with her senior officers. The story sounded impossible, but Dr. Keth was known throughout the scientific community as a reliable researcher. He would not make up such a tale. "Doctor, can you send us your sensor data from the encounter?" she asked. "Of course, Captain. I am transmitting all our records now. Perhaps your human technology can make sense of what we could not understand." As the data transfer completed, Dr. Amy Foster, the ship's biologist, joined the group around the main screen. She had been listening to the conversation from her lab. "Dr. Keth, you mentioned that the ship ejected the bodies of your team members. Were they intact?" The Zephyrian's expression grew even more troubled. "That is perhaps the strangest part of the entire encounter. The bodies showed no signs of weapons fire or explosive damage. Each had been killed by a single, precise cut to a vital area. It was as if the ship's defenses had studied Zephyrian anatomy and knew exactly where to strike. For an instant, painless death." Kevin whistled softly. Such precision suggested an intelligence behind the ship's actions, not just automated defense systems. "Dr. Keth, have other species reported similar encounters with this vessel?" "Yes, Dr. Stone. Over the past 3 centuries, we have documented encounters with the Phantom ship by more than 20 different alien races. The Crystalline Collective, the Void Swimmers, the Hive Networks, even the warrior clans of Rigel Prime. Every encounter follows the same pattern. The ship allows approach, permits initial scanning, but violently rejects any attempt to board. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. A ship that had been active for 300 years, consistently following the same behavior pattern with different, alien species. It suggested purpose and intelligence that went far beyond simple automated systems. The most disturbing part, Dr. Keth continued, is that the ship never completely destroys the vessels that approach it. It could easily do so with the weapons we observed. Instead, it only eliminates those who attempt to board, then disappears. It is as if the ship is protecting something inside, waiting for the right visitors to arrive. After ending the communication with Dr. Keth, Lisa called a meeting with her senior staff. They gathered in the ship's conference room, reviewing the Zephyrian data on the large display screen. Kevin had been studying the sensor readings for an hour. "Captain, I've been analyzing the encounter reports from other species. There's definitely a pattern here. The ship appears in different sectors, but always along major trade routes where it will encounter various alien species." Amy pointed to a section of the biological data. "Look at this, everyone. The ship's weapons showed perfect knowledge of Zephyrian physiology. But according to these reports, it demonstrated the same precise knowledge of every other species it encountered. How could one ship possess detailed biological information about so many different alien races?" Commander Jake Peterson, Lisa's second-in-command, leaned back in his chair. "Maybe it learns from each encounter, scans the aliens as they approach, analyzes their biology, then uses that information if they attempt to board." "But why?" Lisa asked the question that was bothering all of them. Why allow aliens to approach at all? Why not just destroy or avoid contact completely? Kevin pulled up a star chart showing the ship's known appearances over the centuries. "Captain, I think the ship is searching for something, or someone. Each encounter follows the same pattern because the ship is running some kind of test. When the aliens fail the test by attempting to board, it eliminates them and moves on to search elsewhere." Lisa stared at the data, feeling pieces of a puzzle beginning to form in her mind. Dr. Keth said the ship has been active for 3 centuries. That's about the same time period that humanity has been expanding into space. The room fell silent as the implications of her words sank in. Jake was the first to speak. "Captain, you're not suggesting that this ship is looking for humans, are you?" Lisa stood up and walked to the large window that looked out into deep space. Somewhere out there, the mysterious vessel was continuing its ancient search. "I don't know what I'm suggesting, Jake, but I think we need to find out. Set course for the ship's last known coordinates." Amy looked worried. "Captain, with respect, every alien species that has encountered this ship has lost people. Maybe we should report this to Earth Command and let them decide how to handle it." Lisa turned back to her crew, her decision already made. "Dr. Foster, 23 different alien species have encountered this ship over 3 centuries. Every single encounter ended in violence and death. But what if the ship wasn't rejecting them because they were alien to its technology? What if it was rejecting them because they weren't the species it was looking for?" Kevin's eyes widened as he understood her reasoning. "You think it's been waiting for humans all along." "There's only one way to find out," Lisa said, returning to her seat at the head of the conference table. "Jake, plot a course for the Void Nebula. That's where Dr. Keth said the ship disappeared to. We're going to solve this mystery once and for all." As the Terra Nova changed course toward their dangerous destination, none of the crew could have imagined that they were about to discover humanity's greatest secret, hidden among the stars for thousands of years. The Terra Nova dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Void Nebula. Captain Lisa Hayes stood on the bridge, watching the swirling purple and blue gases that stretched across space like a cosmic storm. The nebula was beautiful, but it also made sensor readings difficult and provided perfect cover for a ship that didn't want to be found. "Begin long-range scans," Lisa ordered. "Look for anything that doesn't belong in this nebula." Lieutenant Ben Clark worked at his station, adjusting the sensors to cut through the nebula's interference. "Captain, I'm picking up several metallic objects, but most appear to be old debris." "Wait." He paused, his eyes widening as he stared at his screen. "I've got something big, very big. The main screen flickered to life, showing a massive dark shape floating silently in the nebula's heart. Even through the swirling gases, they could see it was enormous. The ship looked like it had been carved from a single piece of dark stone, its surface smooth and flowing like liquid metal that had been frozen in time. Dr. Kevin Stone moved to his science station and began detailed scans. "Captain, that vessel is exactly 3.2 kilometers long. The hull material is unlike anything in our databases. It appears to be some kind of organic metal compound." Commander Jake Peterson stepped closer to the main screen. "It's definitely the ship from the Zephyrian reports. But it looks so different from any Starship design I've ever seen. Those curves and flowing lines, it's almost alive." As the Terra Nova moved closer, something unexpected happened. The massive ship began to glow. Soft blue lights appeared along, its hull pulsing in slow, steady rhythms like a heartbeat. Energy readings spiked across all their sensors. "Red alert," Lisa called out. "All stop. Raise shields." But the expected attack never came. Instead, the mysterious ship simply sat there, its lights pulsing brighter as they watched. Dr. Amy Foster looked up from her biology station with excitement in her voice. "Captain, those aren't weapon signatures. The ship is scanning us. I'm reading multiple probe beams, but they're not aggressive. It's like it's trying to learn about us." Kevin frowned at his readings. "The scan patterns are incredibly advanced. This technology is far beyond anything we have." But Amy's right. It doesn't feel hostile. It feels curious. Lisa made a decision that would change everything. "Take us closer, slowly. I want to see what this ship does when we approach." As the Terra Nova moved forward, the alien vessel's lights grew brighter. Suddenly, the ship began broadcasting on multiple frequencies. The communications panel lit up with incoming signals. Ben looked confused as he tried to process the transmissions. "Captain, we're receiving hundreds of different signals from the ship. Mathematical sequences, chemical formulas, what looks like star charts, and something else." "Put it on speakers," Lisa ordered. The bridge filled with a complex symphony of sounds. Some were clearly mathematical, number sequences and geometric patterns. Others sounded like music, but unlike any music they had ever heard. Still others seemed to pulse with biological rhythms. Amy gasped as she analyzed the biological data. "Captain, some of these signals contain genetic information, DNA sequences, protein structures, cellular blueprints, but they're not from any alien species I know." Kevin's face went pale as he studied his screen. "Captain, you need to see this. The genetic sequences in these transmissions, they match human DNA markers. Not approximately. Exactly." The bridge fell silent except for the strange signals still coming from the alien ship. Lisa felt her heart racing as the implications became clear. "The ship isn't just scanning us," she said quietly. "It's comparing us to something it's been carrying for a very long time." Jake checked the tactical displays. "Captain, the ship's weapons are powering down. Its defensive systems are going offline. This is completely different from what happened to the other alien species." As they watched, something incredible occurred. The massive ship began to change shape. Sections of its hull flowed like liquid, opening to reveal docking bays that glowed with soft, welcoming light. The ship was inviting them aboard. In 300 years of encounters with alien species, this ship has never done that, Kevin whispered. "It's only killed or driven away every visitor, but with us, it's opening its doors," Lisa finished. She turned to her crew, knowing they were facing the most important decision in human history. "It wants us to come aboard." Amy looked worried. "Captain, this could still be a trap. Maybe it's learned new tactics after all these centuries." But Kevin shook his head. "No, Dr. Foster, look at the energy patterns. The ship isn't preparing weapons or defenses. If anything, it's making itself completely vulnerable to us. Those docking bays could be sealed and turned into weapons, but instead it's opened them wide." Lisa walked to the center of the bridge, looking out at the mysterious vessel that had waited so long for this moment. The ship has been searching for something for 3 centuries. It rejected every alien species that tried to board it, but it's welcoming us. There's only one way to find out why. She turned to Jake. "Prepare a shuttle. Small team. Minimal weapons. If this ship wanted to hurt us, it could have done so already. Jake nodded. Who's going aboard, Captain? Lisa looked around at her crew. These people had become her family during their years of exploration together. She couldn't risk all of them, but she also couldn't face this mystery alone. Kevin, you're our best scientist. Amy, we might need a biologist's perspective. Jake, I need someone I trust watching my back. Ben, you stay here and monitor communications. Within an hour, the shuttle Bay 7 was departing from the Terra Nova. Lisa piloted the small craft toward the alien ship, feeling both excitement and fear building in her chest. Behind her, Kevin was recording everything while Amy monitored their life signs. As they approached the docking bay, the alien ship systems guided them in with gentle tractor beams. The bay was enormous, easily large enough to hold a dozen shuttles their size. As they landed, atmospheric fields sealed the entrance behind them, and the bay filled with breathable air. Atmosphere is perfect for humans, Amy reported, checking her instruments. Not just breathable, but optimal. Temperature, humidity, even the gas mixture is exactly what we'd find on Earth. Kevin was scanning the bay around them. Captain, the technology here is incredible. Those atmospheric generators, the gravitational systems, even the lighting, it's all designed for human comfort and biology. Lisa powered down the shuttle and looked out at the pristine docking bay. Everything was clean and new-looking, despite the ship's apparent age. It was as if the ship had been maintaining itself, waiting for this moment. The ship knew we were coming, she said softly. Not just humans in general, but us specifically. It's been waiting for us. As they prepared to leave the shuttle, Jake checked his sidearm and communication equipment. Captain, what if we're wrong about this? What if the ship is just more clever than the others realized? Lisa paused at the shuttle door, her hand on the control panel. Outside, corridors stretched into the ship's depths, glowing with the same soft blue light they had seen on the hull. Everything felt ancient but welcoming, like coming home to a house that had been empty for too long. Then we'll find out together, she said, opening the door. But Jake, I don't think we're wrong. This ship has been searching for something for centuries, and I think it just found what it was looking for. As the three humans stepped out of their shuttle and into the alien vessel, lights began activating throughout the ship. Corridors that had been dark for ages filled with gentle illumination, leading deeper into the ship's mysteries. Behind them, the shuttle door sealed automatically, but not like a trap. Like a home closing its door to keep the family safe inside. Whatever waited for them in the ship's depths, Lisa knew their lives would never be the same. The phantom ship that had terrified the galaxy for 3 centuries was finally complete. After waiting so long, it had found its crew. Lisa Hayes took her first steps into the mysterious ship, followed closely by Kevin Stone and Jake Peterson. The corridor stretched before them, its walls glowing with soft blue light that seemed to pulse in rhythm with their heartbeats. The floor beneath their feet felt warm and alive, as if the ship itself was breathing. This is incredible, Kevin whispered, running his scanner along the walls. The material is responding to our presence. It's not just metal or plastic. It's something organic, but also technological. As they walked deeper into the ship, the corridors began to change around them. Walls shifted smoothly, creating a clear path forward while blocking off other routes. It was as if the ship was guiding them somewhere specific. Amy Foster spoke through their communication devices from the shuttle. Captain, I'm monitoring your life signs. Your heart rates are elevated, but you're all healthy. The ship's atmosphere is actually improving your oxygen levels compared to normal ship air. Jake kept one hand near his weapon, but the peaceful atmosphere was making him relax despite his training. Captain, have you noticed we haven't seen any doors? The ship is just reshaping itself to guide us forward. They walked for several minutes through corridors that curved and flowed like rivers of light. Finally, they reached a massive chamber that took Lisa's breath away. The room was enormous, with a ceiling that disappeared into darkness above them. In the center stood a pillar of pure light that stretched from floor to ceiling. As they approached the pillar, a voice filled the chamber. It was warm and welcoming, speaking perfect English with no accent at all. Welcome home, the voice said. I have been waiting so very long for you to arrive. The three humans stopped walking, looking around the chamber for the source of the voice. Kevin raised his scanner, but the readings made no sense. The entire room was alive with energy that his instruments couldn't understand. Who are you? Lisa asked, her voice echoing in the vast space. The pillar of light began to change, forming shapes and images that danced in the air around them. I am Meridian, guardian of this vessel and keeper of the ancient knowledge. I was created by your ancestors to wait for your return to the stars. Jake frowned, his hand moving closer to his weapon. Our ancestors? Lady, humans have only been in space for a few hundred years. We're nowhere near advanced enough to build something like this ship. The light pillar pulsed brighter, and suddenly the chamber filled with holographic images. They showed human cities among the stars, massive space stations, and fleets of ships that made the Terra Nova look like a toy. The humans in the images looked exactly like modern humans, but their technology was beyond anything Lisa had ever imagined. Your people reached the stars long before your current civilization developed, Meridian explained. Thousands of years ago, humanity spread across the galaxy. We built cities on distant worlds, created technologies that could reshape matter itself, and lived in peace with the cosmos. Kevin's scanner was going wild with readings he couldn't interpret. If that's true, what happened to them? Where did this ancient human civilization go? The holographic images changed, showing darker scenes. Planets being consumed by some terrible force, stars going dark, and human ships fleeing through space. The images were beautiful but terrifying. They faced an enemy unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, Meridian said sadly. A force that consumes entire star systems, turning matter into pure energy to feed its endless hunger. Your ancestors called it the Devourer, but most knew it simply as the Hunger. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine as she watched the holographic destruction. They lost the war? Not lost, Meridian corrected. They made a choice. Rather than fight a battle they could not win, they scattered their knowledge across the galaxy and sent their people back to primitive worlds to hide. Earth was one of those worlds. Your ancestors became the humans you know today, forgetting their stellar heritage to survive. The images changed again, showing the construction of massive ships like the one they were standing in. Before they returned to primitive life, they built ships like me to preserve their knowledge and wait for the day when humanity would return to space naturally. When you were ready to reclaim your birthright. Jake was struggling to accept what he was hearing. So you've been flying around the galaxy for thousands of years waiting for humans to develop space travel again? Yes, Meridian replied. I have encountered many alien species during my long vigil. Each time I hoped they might be the descendants of my creators. But none possessed the genetic markers, the neural patterns, or the spiritual essence of true humanity. Until today. Amy's voice came through their communicators, excited and worried at the same time. Captain, the ship is downloading massive amounts of data to our shuttle's computers. Star charts, technical specifications, things I can't even begin to understand. Kevin looked at his scanner readings, then at the pillar of light. Meridian, you said this ship contains ancient human knowledge. What kind of knowledge? The chamber around them transformed into a vast library of light. Holographic books, star maps, and technical diagrams filled the air. Everything your ancestors learned during their time among the stars. Technologies that could revolutionize your civilization. Medical knowledge that could extend human life by centuries. The locations of other worlds suitable for human colonization. Lisa walked closer, to the pillar, feeling drawn to the ancient intelligence. And the weapons to fight this hunger when it returns? Meridian's voice became more serious. Yes, Captain Hayes. The hunger operates in cycles, consuming advanced civilizations every few thousand years. According to my calculations, it will return within the next decade. The galaxy's current inhabitants have no defense against it. The holographic library changed to show weapon designs that looked both beautiful and terrifying. Ships that could harness the power of stars, weapons that could crack planets and defensive systems that could protect entire solar systems. But these weapons can only be operated by humans, Meridian continued. Your ancestors built safeguards into their technology. Only those with true human neural patterns can activate the most powerful systems. Jake was looking at the weapon designs with a soldier's eye. Why? Why make it so only humans could use them? Because power corrupts, Meridian explained. Your ancestors learned that lesson well. They created these weapons to protect life, not to conquer it. Only humans with your unique combination of compassion and determination could be trusted with such power. Kevin was studying the star charts floating around them. Meridian, you mentioned other ships like this one. How many are there? 12 Guardian vessels were built, each containing different aspects of ancient human knowledge. I am the first, you have found, but the others wait throughout the galaxy. Together they form a network designed to help humanity reclaim its place among the stars. Lisa felt the weight of destiny settling on her shoulders. Everything she had believed about human history was wrong. Her species wasn't new to space exploration, they were returning to it, and with that return came both incredible opportunity and terrible responsibility. The choice is yours, Captain Hayes, Meridian said gently. I can share all of this knowledge with your people, but doing so will change everything. Humanity will become a major power in the galaxy overnight, but you will also inherit the responsibility of protecting all life from the hunger. Lisa looked at Kevin and Jake, seeing the same mixture of excitement and fear in their eyes that she felt in her heart. They had come looking for answers about a mysterious ship, and instead had discovered that humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. Show us everything, Lisa said finally. If this is our heritage, then we need to understand it all. Their chamber exploded with light and knowledge as Meridian began to download thousands of years of human achievement directly into their minds. The galaxy would never be the same again. Lisa Hayes stood in the chamber of light, her mind struggling to process everything Meridian had shown them. The ancient knowledge flowing through her thoughts felt both foreign and familiar, like memories from a dream she had forgotten upon waking. Show us more about the hunger, she said to the pillar of light. If it's really coming back, we need to understand what we're facing. The holographic displays around them shifted, showing images that made Lisa's blood run cold. Entire star systems were being consumed by something that looked like a living shadow. Planets cracked and crumbled as their matter was converted into pure energy, feeding a hunger that could never be satisfied. The entity your ancestors called the hunger is not truly alive in any way we understand, Meridian explained. It is a force of nature, like a cosmic storm that feeds on organized matter and energy. It appears every few thousand years, consuming advanced civilizations until it has gathered enough energy to return to whatever dimension it comes from. Kevin Stone watched the destruction with scientific fascination and horror. How does it choose its targets? Why does it focus on advanced civilizations? Technology creates patterns of energy that attract its attention, Meridian replied. The more advanced a civilization becomes, the brighter it appears to the hunger. Your ancestors discovered this too late to save themselves, but in time to save their knowledge and their people. Jake Peterson studied the images of the ancient human war against the hunger. They fought it for a long time before giving up. What weapons did they use? The display changed to show massive battles in space. Human ships fired beams of concentrated starlight at the shadowy enemy, while defensive systems created barriers of pure energy around entire planets. But despite their incredible technology, the humans were slowly losing. Every weapon they created only delayed the inevitable, Meridian said sadly. The hunger learns from each attack, adapting its defenses and growing stronger. Your ancestors realized that direct confrontation would only lead to total extinction. Amy Foster's voice came through their communicators from the shuttle. Captain, I'm analyzing the data the ship is sending us. The biological information about the hunger is terrifying. It doesn't just consume matter, it absorbs the life essence of entire worlds. Every person, every animal, every plant becomes part of it. Lisa felt sick as she understood the implications. So when it returns, it won't just destroy our technology. It will consume every living thing in the galaxy. Unless we stop it, Meridian said. Your ancestors discovered something important during their final battles. The hunger has a weakness, but exploiting it requires a level of coordination and sacrifice that only humans seem capable of. The holographic display showed technical diagrams that hurt to look at directly. The weapons and technologies were so advanced that human minds could barely comprehend them, even with Meridian's help. The weakness is in the hunger's feeding process, Meridian continued. It must lower its dimensional barriers to consume matter from our reality. During those moments, it becomes vulnerable to weapons that exist partially outside normal spacetime. Kevin was trying to understand the technical specifications floating around them. These weapons you're showing us, they're not just advanced technology. They're something else entirely. They are tools that bridge the gap between science and what your ancestors called soulcraft, Meridian explained. Only beings with the unique neural patterns of humanity can operate them. Your species has a rare combination of rational thought and emotional depth that allows you to exist partially in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Jake frowned at the complex diagrams. So these weapons need human operators? How many humans would it take to fight the hunger? That depends on how much your species has grown since your ancestors went into hiding, Meridian replied. The ancient humans numbered in the billions across hundreds of worlds. Current humanity numbers in the millions across a few dozen colonies. It may not be enough. Lisa walked closer to the pillar of light, feeling the weight of her species' future pressing down on her. What about the other alien races in the galaxy? Can they help fight the hunger? The display showed images of various alien civilizations, the Zephyrians, the Crystalline Collective, the Void Swimmers, and dozens of others. They can provide support, resources, and additional numbers, Meridian said. But they cannot operate the weapons needed to actually harm the hunger. That responsibility falls to humanity alone. Amy's voice interrupted their conversation again. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy buildups throughout the ship. Whatever Meridian is preparing to show you next, it's big. The chamber around them began to transform. The walls became transparent, showing the vast interior of the ship stretching in all directions. Lisa realized they were seeing the ship's true size for the first time. It was like a floating city, with levels upon levels of chambers, laboratories, and manufacturing facilities. This vessel contains more than just knowledge, Meridian said. It is a factory, designed to produce the weapons and technologies your people will need to face the hunger. But manufacturing these tools requires resources and materials that can only be found on specific worlds. The display showed a star map with 12 points of light scattered across the galaxy. The other Guardian ships are positioned near worlds, rich in the exotic materials needed for weapon production. But retrieving these materials will require cooperation between humanity and the alien races who control those systems. Kevin was studying the star map intently. Some of these locations are in sectors controlled by hostile alien governments. They've been fighting wars with each other for centuries. Which brings us to the greatest challenge, Meridian said. The hunger feeds on conflict and chaos. The more the galaxy's civilizations fight among themselves, the stronger it becomes when it arrives. Your ancestors learned this lesson too late. Lisa understood what Meridian was implying. You're saying we need to unite the galaxy, get all the different alien races to work together against a common enemy. Not just work together, Meridian corrected. They must trust humanity to lead them. The weapons and strategies needed to defeat the hunger can only be implemented under human command. Your species must become the protectors of the galaxy. Jake laughed bitterly. Great! We're supposed to convince dozens of alien races, many of whom have never heard of humans, to follow our leadership in a war against an enemy most of them think is just a legend. The alternative is extinction for every living thing in the galaxy, Meridian replied simply. The chamber fell silent as the three humans absorbed this information. They had entered this ship as explorers seeking answers to a mystery. Now they were being asked to accept responsibility for the survival of all life in the galaxy. There's something else you need to know, Meridian continued. According to my calculations, the hunger will arrive earlier if it detects the activation of ancient human technology. By accepting your heritage and beginning to prepare for war, you will be shortening the time you have to get ready. Lisa closed her eyes, feeling the weight of an impossible decision. How much time do we have if we do nothing? Perhaps 15 years before the hunger's natural return, Meridian replied. But if you begin activating the Guardian network and producing weapons, it may arrive within 5 years. Kevin looked at the star charts showing the locations of the other Guardian ships. But if we don't start preparing now, we'll have no chance at all when it does arrive. That is correct, Meridian confirmed. Your ancestors faced the same choice. They chose to sacrifice their civilization to buy time for their descendants. Now you must choose whether to accept that legacy and the responsibility that comes with it. Lisa opened her eyes and looked at her companions. In Kevin's face, she saw the excitement of a scientist confronted with the greatest discovery in human history. In Jake's expression, she saw the determination of a soldier accepting an impossible mission. What do you think? She asked them quietly. Jake spoke first. Captain, if even half of what Meridian is telling us is true, we don't really have a choice. We can either prepare to fight and maybe have a chance, or do nothing and definitely die when the hunger arrives. Kevin nodded in agreement. The knowledge contained in these ships could advance human civilization by thousands of years overnight. Even if the hunger never came, this technology could solve every problem humanity faces. Lisa looked up at the pillar of light that contained the consciousness of Meridian. If we accept this responsibility, what happens next? Next, Meridian replied, we begin the greatest adventure in human history. We locate the other Guardian ships, gather the resources needed to build weapons that can wound a god, and unite a galaxy that has never known peace. It will be the most difficult thing any species has ever attempted. Lisa took a deep breath, knowing that her next words would change the course of human history forever. Then let's get started. Captain Lisa Hayes sat in her command chair aboard the Terra Nova, watching as Meridian's massive ship moved alongside them through space. 3 days had passed since they had discovered humanity's ancient heritage, and her crew was still struggling to accept the reality of their situation. Captain, we're receiving another priority message from Earth Command. Lieutenant Ben Clark reported from his communications station. That's the 15th one today. They want answers about what we found out here. Lisa nodded, understanding the pressure her superiors were feeling. The data Meridian had transmitted was already causing chaos back on Earth. Scientists who reviewed the star charts and technical specifications were calling it either the greatest discovery in human history or an elaborate hoax. Dr. Stone, what's the status of our analysis team? Lisa asked. Kevin looked up from his station where he had been, working around the clock to verify Meridian's information. Captain, every piece of data checks out. The star charts match astronomical observations that we've never been able to make. The technical specifications describe technologies that are theoretically possible, but far beyond our current abilities. Foster joined the conversation from her biology station. The genetic data is even more convincing. Meridian provided DNA sequences from dozens of alien species that we've never encountered. When I compared them to the Zephyrian samples we have, they matched perfectly. Commander Jake Peterson was studying tactical displays showing the locations of the other 11 Guardian ships. Captain, some of these ships are in very dangerous sectors. 3 are in systems controlled by the Draconian Empire. 2 are near crystalline collective territory, and 1 is right in the middle of the war zone between the Hive networks and the Rigel clans. Lisa stood and walked to the large window that showed Meridian's ship. Its dark hull was now glowing with active energy systems as the ancient vessel prepared for its first mission in centuries. Meridian, are you ready to begin? The AI's voice filled the bridge through their communication systems. Yes, Captain Hayes. The manufacturing systems are online, and I have compiled a list of priority targets for resource gathering. However, we must move quickly. My scans show that the hunger's approach is already affecting subspace in distant sectors. This was news that made everyone on the bridge stop what they were doing. Kevin turned to face the main screen. Meridian, how can you detect the hunger's approach? I thought it wouldn't arrive for years. The entity exists partially outside normal spacetime, Meridian explained. Its presence creates ripples in the fabric of reality that can be detected by sufficiently advanced sensors. Based on current readings, I estimate we have 4 years instead of the 5 I originally calculated. Lisa felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her even more heavily. 4 years to unite a galaxy, gather resources from hostile alien territories, and build weapons that could fight a cosmic horror. It seemed impossible. "Captain," Amy said quietly, "I've been thinking about what Meridian told us, about needing to unite all the alien races under human leadership. How are we supposed to convince species that have been at war for centuries to suddenly trust us?" Before Lisa could answer, an alarm began sounding throughout the ship. Ben's hands flew over his controls as he tried to identify the source of the alert. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace around us. It's a mixed fleet Zephyrian research vessels, crystalline collective warships, and at least 3 different species I don't recognize." Jake immediately moved to the tactical station. "Are they hostile? Should we raise shields?" "Wait," Lisa ordered, studying the approaching fleet. "They're not taking aggressive positions. It looks like they're trying to surround us, but not to attack." The main screen activated, showing the familiar face of Dr. Keth, the Zephyrian scientist who had first told them about the Phantom ship. But he wasn't alone. Behind him stood representatives from multiple alien species, all looking directly at the camera. "Captain Hayes," Dr. Keth said, his voice carrying a weight of authority Lisa had never heard before. "We need to talk. All of us." Lisa exchanged glances with her crew. "Dr. Keth, how did you find us, and why are you traveling with representatives from so many different species?" A new voice answered her, coming from one of the crystalline beings standing behind Dr. Keth. "Because we have been waiting for this day as long as your ship has, Captain Hayes. We are the Watchers, descendants of those who survived the last time the hunger came to our galaxy." Lisa felt her heart skip a beat. "You know about the hunger? But Meridian said most species think it's just a legend." Dr. Keth stepped forward. "Most do think it's a legend, but some of us have kept the old records, passed down stories from our ancestors who witnessed the last feeding cycle. We have been watching for signs of the ancient guardian's return." Another alien spoke, this one from a species Lisa didn't recognize. It looked like a walking tree with silver bark and glowing blue leaves. "Your ship's activation sent ripples through subspace that we have been monitoring for generations. We knew that when the Guardian vessels awoke, the time of the Great Choosing would be upon us again." Meridian's voice joined the conversation. "Captain, these beings speak the truth. During the last cycle, some members of various species were evacuated to safe dimensions by your ancestors. They were returned after the hunger departed, carrying with them knowledge of what had occurred." Lisa was struggling to process this new information. "So there are aliens who know the truth about humanity's past? Who understand what we're facing?" "Yes," Dr. Keth replied, "and we have been preparing. Not all of our species know the truth, but those of us who do have been working in secret for centuries. We have stockpiled resources, developed technologies, and maintained communication networks across the galaxy." The crystalline being spoke again. "We have also been watching humanity's development, waiting to see if your species would prove worthy of your ancestors' legacy. Your actions today have convinced us that the time has come to reveal ourselves." Jake was studying the alien fleet surrounding them. "How many species are part of this Watcher network?" 17 species across 43 star systems," the tree-like alien replied. "We represent approximately 60% of the galaxy's advanced civilizations. The others will need to be convinced or compelled to join the Alliance." Lisa felt a spark of hope for the first time since learning about the hunger. "You're saying we won't have to start from scratch? That there's already a foundation for the Alliance we need to build?" Dr. Keth nodded. "Captain Hayes, your species carries the genetic key to weapons that can wound the hunger, but you cannot gather the resources or coordinate the defense alone. We Watchers have been preparing for this moment for thousands of years. Together, we might actually have a chance." Meridian's voice carried a tone of satisfaction that sounded almost human. This changes our timeline significantly. With the Watcher network already in place, we can begin resource gathering and weapon production immediately. Captain Hayes, I recommend we establish a joint command structure with representatives from all participating species. Lisa looked around her bridge at her crew, seeing the same mixture of relief and determination in their faces that she felt in her heart. The task ahead was still enormous, but suddenly it seemed possible. Dr. Keth, can your ships escort us to a secure location where we can establish this joint command? Lisa asked. Already arranged, Captain. We have prepared a hidden facility in the Andromeda Drift, far from any established trade routes. It has been waiting for this day for over 2,000 years. As the mixed fleet of human and alien vessels changed course toward their secret destination, Lisa felt the weight of destiny settling around her. Humanity was no longer alone in the galaxy, and they were no longer just explorers. They had become the leaders of the greatest alliance in galactic history, preparing for a war that would determine the survival of all life. Behind them, Meridian's ship pulsed with ancient power, its manufacturing systems already beginning to produce the first weapons in humanity's new arsenal. The dangerous starship that had rejected every alien for centuries was now the flagship of a fleet that would either save the galaxy or die trying. The hunger was coming, but for the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy would be ready to fight back. And leading that fight would be the species that had once ruled the stars and now finally was coming home.